Sportscast SA presents Game On. Game On. South Australians' destination for everything sports. Local, national, and international sports. AFL football, soccer, basketball, golf, baseball, tennis, cricket, and any other sports played in this wide world. And we're going to have a blast doing it. So sit back, relax, and let's do this thing. Welcome to Game On.
And welcome to our special edition, grand final edition. My name's Pete Matthews. I'm here with Malcom Ashwood, and as we promised a couple of weeks ago, we'd be doing a grand final review.
And it was totally appropriate with opening with the national anthem. So, yes, awesome.
Coming up in today's episode, we're going to talk about a couple of our favourite moments from the grand final. We've got some very, very special guests to join us today. Jacob Kennerley, Sam Morris, Harry Boyd and Matt Panos. Just amongst a few of the guests there, Malcolm.
Yep, we've got the big names out and about.
Around the grounds.
So to start us off with Around the Grounds, we thought we might just take a little bit of a season in review. The season that was. Norwood finishing third on the ladder this year with 12 wins, 6 losses. Fantastic effort, really.
And it was, we started the year slowly and then, a couple of momentum things changed. The Adelaide win, the win at Alberton, and just gradually built momentum and enabling us, when we did finish third, and we did know that for the last minor round game that we had the double chance, it gave us that just little bit of scope and not experimentation that we could take the risk of going in playing both Matty Panos and Matty Nunn coming back from injury, experiment with Rokar's injury, and look, Rokar, I can't compliment Rokes enough. His injury to get from Twig afterwards, that if that had been in the minor round, he would have missed 12 weeks. His ability to carry pain is up there with Gary McIntosh. And Nick Rokar, I just can't salute him highly enough.
Yeah, I think a lot of the supporters would be right behind you there, mate.
Well, to give the Norwood faithful a little bit of info and all that, we actually had 6 players went into that game. And let's just say the doctors nailed it. And the medical, we can't praise the medical fraternity, the medical group at Norwood enough, played a huge part in this premiership, a massive part.
Mate, obviously we go through the season early on, it's a bit scratchy. We're 4 wins, 5 losses at the Port Adelaide game, which is round 11. We turn it all around. We play unbelievably well at Alberton, which is a good one to get, especially at Port Alberton. And then we go on a 8-win streak.
Yeah, it was good fun in that game at Alberton, walking up to Timmy G, reminding him that when Norwood win, that the Gallagher-Williams trophy is still the most important trophy in world sport. If we lose, it means nothing. But since we're going to win, it's obviously still the number one.
And, the winning can't continue forever, but, we didn't quite get the job done against West Adelaide in the last minor round.
Yeah, in the end, I know it sounds silly, but it was certainly not the loss we had to have. But you do review more when you lose.
Yep.
And there were a couple of things that game we didn't nail, and Twig and the coaching group, reviewed it very thoroughly. Then I think we all of us as Norwood supporters, hang on, we've lost to West Adelaide. We've only scraped in against Centrals by a point. How are we going to go on the bigger ground? A game was suited, are our defensive structures and our game set up just only suit, to Norwood and only the smaller grounds?
Yep.
How are we going to go? Then we go and get thumped in the qualifying final. I think we all thought, wow.
What's going to happen next?
But to the group's credit, the belief they came out against Glenelg, and while we were down early, I still thought we're okay. And probably I'm known as being a bit of a pessimist. I still thought we're fine, and at halftime I was pretty confident that we were going to go away and win that game. Goal
kicking accuracy was fantastic. 12 goals, 7. That's what you really want. You want to continue that scoreboard pressure, and like you said, at halftime it was looking pretty good.
Yeah, we controlled the ball a fair bit after the first quarter. We really inside 50s, locking it in, all the tick boxes which the Norwood Brains Trust used, we were doing, and we ran away in the end.
Absolutely. And then obviously we play Adelaide again, which is a bit of a cause for concern that they play them 2 weeks earlier and get a bit of a touch up, but they certainly responded.
Yeah, so at that game, I was with Ref Sturk, triple Olympian, Pembroke mate, triple Olympian in water polo, and a mate of his from the Ward Shoes fame from on the parade, which I'm sure the Nord people all know. Mm-hmm. And he's, we weren't expecting wet weather, and he's gone, hey, rain's coming, and I've replied with a bit of colourful language, just tell it to hurry up. And it was like, again, a bit like Sammy Morris's smother. It was an angel from heaven when the rain came down against Adelaide because they were tall. Yep. We were struggling a little bit of their pace as well, and we then came from behind in that last quarter. And
it was a tight tussle, and like you said, they had to come from behind, and they've done that a few times through the year in a few of the minor round matches where they really had to fight their way out of trouble and did it superbly.
Baden Lowe's had a huge last quarter. Mitch Carroll had come back into the side for that prelim final. He played a few games in the year. I think his grand final was his sixth game for the year. So, I reckon that coaching group, any supporter, anyone queries their selections, whatever, they can just answer the 2 words, Mitch Carroll.
And then obviously moving into the grand final, underdogs against probably a red-hot North Adelaide, really.
Look, and you did look at their side and go, geez, both Coombs, Young, Weig.
Pretty good.
It's a good side.
Absolutely. And,
yes, we were underdogs. And, again, the character, yes, the rain helped. We can't, no. Which is great. Yep. I think it's even more credit. It's not taking anything away from us. I think it's more credit that we're a good wet weather side.
Absolutely.
And, to come 18-minute mark, 17 points down.
Absolutely.
Incredible.
To have 2 big comebacks in the grand final, really that first quarter, they were really struggling early on, sort of found their groove a little bit towards the end of that quarter and really took it into the second quarter and obviously half-time, just where they needed to be, really.
Yeah, and then really we controlled the first half of the third quarter. We just didn't put it on the scoreboard. Yep. And then, they get a goal, which is a bit lucky, and then staggering umpiring. And I am saying that as an umpire. Yep. And I've got to admit, I was glad to run into a pretty well-respected SANFL, AFL umpire on Saturday and say, right, what did you think? And he agreed that it was he's saying, his exact words, in that situation, it's got to be a pretty grievous breaking of the rules to pay a free kick.
Yep.
The umpire panicked. Look, and I'm not excusing young Kelly. It's a pet hate of mine that players don't know the rules inside out.
Yes.
And if you give the players an exam on the rules at any level, the majority fail, and I hate that. But it was panic umpiring. Just so vital then. It was, it was poor.
That stemmed from an incident that happened at centre-half back there, a couple of minutes earlier. And like you said, the umpire unfortunately did panic in that situation and really didn't help.
It was reactive umpiring, not proactive. He should have got in there, really talk it up, guys. Don't do anything. Don't touch. And just taken over and had some ownership of the moment, but he didn't.
Yep. Fantastic. Obviously, that leads us into, mate, what's your favourite moment of this grand final?
Well, I'm going to go with a couple. Look, it was a privilege to be on the ground. I really didn't do much with the banner bit, probably just being the older voice and older head around during that week. But the banner, Alex Milicevic, apologies if I haven't pronounced that correctly, but he was huge as the leader. And there were a lot of people put up their hand to help. And we worked it out that it was over 200 hours was spent that week. And anyone who saw the banner on Grand Final Day, it was awesome. And to get from the North Adelaide, who are the leading group, North Adelaide were the leading group. If you go through North's banners, they're the leading club in Australia, not just.
Yep.
And to get from one of the mates from North, one of their girls on the cheer squad said, "Hey, your banner was superb."
Yep.
That was huge.
And Harry Boyd obviously helping out as well.
Oh, look, Harry Boyd turning up on the Friday night, he just gets it. And that just lifted the faithful up. And hey, if there's a player who's popping in to say hello, I just thought that was awesome. He's got his head switched on, that lad.
Yep.
Look, personal one, and it is personal. I've had a fair bit to do with Jack Hurd over the years. You know, originally, ironically, right back to when he was in grade 2 at Prince's with Auskick, and so he wore the St Kilda number 12 Guernsey, and he had the blonde hair. So that's where the Rewalt whole bit comes from, and a fair few of the Norwood faithful and the Norwood players now call him Rewalt from me.
Yep.
And yeah, him coming to me after the game, and yeah, what he said to me was meant a lot to me.
Fantastic.
A hell of a lot. Go for it. Your favourite moment, mate?
Look, there's too many to choose from, really, but I probably get down to the Jarvis goal from 50. It was really the right time, ice running through his veins, and he just kicked so beautifully.
He kicked through it, and it's Neville Roberts has been doing a fair bit of work with the forward line over the previous 10 to 12 weeks, and yeah, Ben nailed it.
He did, and it was right when Norwood needed a bit of uplift, and they got it.
Got us within 5 points.
Yes.
Look, another pivotal moment. Look, there's several. Obviously, Sam Sir Smother Morris's smother coming from nowhere. Matty Panos' goal, but look, also a pivotal moment was Lockyer for North Adelaide. They're 5 points up. He kicks that goal, it's game over.
Yeah.
If he kicks a point, that was going to have a huge influence. And as he was running in to goal, I was down that end, just past the point post, and he virtually ran straight at us. And language aside, I've said to the guy, he's going to effing kick this out on the full. And he did, and he sort of looked at me. What? I said, because that's exactly where he ran. It was, he broke every single coaching manual. He ran straight at goal. He dropped the ball too high. He leant back and didn't kick through it. Apart from that, it was perfect. In other words, he stuffed everything up.
Yeah. My pivotal moment, obviously, in the grand final, I mean, there's a couple for me too. The blocking, the team effort, the want, the will for everybody to work as a cohesive unit. But there's one moment that really, as a slightly shorter guy and playing in those type of positions, the clean pickup of Josh Richards, that mongrel punting ball coming out of defence for North Adelaide, it could have bounced any which way, and he took it as clean as anybody has taken it and just put it on the boot, and the goal was just unbelievable. And
it was from a soccer off the ground. It could have gone anywhere.
Yep.
Again, technique, got low, picked it up beautifully. Yep. Fantastic.
It was certainly exactly what you wanted. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We've covered quite a bit in this first little section here. We're going to come back with a couple of guest interviews. We've got Jacob Kennerley and Sam Morris coming up.
Liking this podcast? Please like, rate, and subscribe. Welcome back to the Game On Podcast. 5 good minutes in the clubhouse.
We're privileged to welcome Jacob Kennerley, Norwood Vice Captain, of course, and had a great, fantastic season. Welcome aboard, JK.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Right, Jacob, we'll go through a few things. So, picked up by Geelong, unlucky enough 2 years for the COVID years. Go through what that was like, the highs and lows.
It was obviously pretty surreal getting drafted. Something I've been working towards probably that last sort of under 16s, 17s, 18s at Norwood and Ross Trevor State footy. That's what I've been working towards, is getting drafted. And it's always a dream of mine growing up, and that to happen, it was obviously pretty cool. Spent 2 years there, as you mentioned. Met some amazing people, some amazing footballers, had some amazing experiences that I wouldn't have had anywhere else. Played some pretty good footy here and there in the VFL throughout a couple of pre-seasons, couple of really strong pre-seasons, I thought. And I played a couple of pre-season games for the AFL side, but unfortunately wasn't able to crack into the team at all while I was there. Probably can blame it a little bit on sort of my final year there being a COVID year, but obviously Geelong's also a pretty handy side, or they have been for the last 15 years. So
not the easiest midfield to break into, JK.
While I was there, Mitch Duncan, Joel Selwood and all them running the wings, and it was kind of hard to get a look in, and unfortunately it didn't work out, but I'll never sort of give back any of that. I loved it, and it's helped me out in the long run. It will, and it has already. So I'm very appreciative.
Who were you following around in the midfield there? Who was your shadow?
I worked pretty closely with Menegola out on the wing. Paddy Dangerfield's also pretty helpful with the younger guys, especially with my my inside midfield craft. Cam Guthrie's one of the most underrated players going around in the AFL. He's an absolute superstar, and I got along really well with him. There was lots of one-on-one training there, especially throughout the midfield. And probably before I got to Geelong, I was more of seen as an outside player, and I think it's been proven that those 2 years there, training with those guys has definitely helped me out in my inside midfield craft. So, it was unreal.
I think you got a pretty good mix there personally now of both inside and outside, JK.
Yeah, no, I think so too.
Mate, the game this year, heading back to Port Lincoln, playing against West Adelaide, what was that feeling like?
That was unreal. Probably the year before, back in 2021, I'd sort of dreamed about it. Well, I remember talking about it with Mum on a car ride back on EP. I was like, geez, how cool would it be for Norwood to get back here and play a game in front of supporters back there, family and friends. And, for it to happen was unreal. And to get a good win like we did over there as well definitely helped. I think it was a very well run, very well executed weekend by the club, and obviously very thankful for West Adelaide coming over as well, playing against us. But to get back in front of the family and friends, I had a group of mates in the pocket who'd had a fair few beers, and kicked the goal in the last quarter and got around him a fair bit. So that was obviously pretty special.
Jacob, leadership side of things, it does seem to come to you pretty naturally, but you stepped up to the role big time when Matty Nunn got injured. Just go through, it wasn't only with the senior squad, go through the whole club side of it with the juniors and the leadership aspect in general.
Sort of my first year back last year, I wasn't in the leadership group or anything, but I think I've always sort of had that leadership mindset. I've always loved teaching people and instructing people, and I think it's one of my real strengths. I've been able to obviously jump up in the leadership group. Probably Twig invited me into it, start of pre-season, the year just gone, and by the end of pre-season I was voted in as vice captain, and that was obviously pretty unreal. I don't take that role lightly. I'm very, very proud of it, and
so you should be.
Absolutely.
Vice captain a big club like Norwood is unreal. I suppose from a club aspect, I think I'm good mates with Michael Noel, the under-18s coach of the year just gone, and he invited me out a fair bit to the under-18s. I actually knew quite a few boys from the EP and Ross Trevor out there as well, so that helped. And by the end of the season, I was actually felt very comfortable going out to 18s training and giving them a few tips here and there. And I was pretty gutted when I found out they had lost in the was it prelim or prelim they lost in. So it's obviously pretty special. But it's been a big year of learning for me in leadership wise. I've had to step up a lot, and I think it's overall helped out my footy personally as well. So I can't take that back, and I love it.
Great effort, mate. Mate, the team achievement obviously this year is quite a big one, but blocking for King in the grand final there, is that something that you guys have practiced?
We do. Definitely, especially forward stoppage, forward 50 stoppages. We do. I think we talk about it a lot because it's not something that you can sort of. You can train it, but it doesn't it's just sort of something that you do. Like, it's pretty easy just to stand in front of someone. It's more of a mindset thing, as Twig and everyone you just reiterate it to each other, lay a block, and everyone knows exactly what to do. It's pretty simple. Just get in front of someone. And we had a fair few edits throughout the year that Twig had showed of blokes blocking. And I think towards the back half of the year, especially with Boydie's dominance in the ruck, we were able to sort of use our blocks a lot more and be a lot more proactive instead of hanging off or being really reactive to our opposition. Boydie allowed us to sort of get really proactive with those blocks, and obviously, I'd look to lay a couple here and there. Because I know when my teammates are probably in a better position than me to win the footy. So it was pretty cool that it paid off in that moment. And
it was interesting that you're saying on the because you timed it superbly. Like, Cameron Craig's a good player, bloody good player. But he didn't quite get in the right spot. But geez, your timing was absolutely perfect. And North Adelaide, trust me, I ended up with a few of the North officials after the game. They were filthy that it was Matt, the King, that Matty Panos was the one who got through, saying how dare could we let Panos be the one to get through. So
certainly suck them into the contest a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, in that moment as well, I do feel for sort of Cameron Craig, and then being a defender in that moment is pretty stressful, and you sort of you're just trying to hang on for dear life to your opponent, just not obviously give away a free kick. You're trying to do as much as you can, and someone getting in the road can obviously sort of into that a little bit, and it bought him enough space. I think both angles have captured it really well, and I think that if you look at the stoppage before that, just on the half forward flank on the wing, Nick Loudon does the exact same thing for Panos. It didn't pay off, but that's the stuff that happens every stoppage we try to anyway. So
worked out pretty well this time.
Last one, exactly.
Mate, your personal achievements this year, I mean, your elite running is obviously a strength of yours. I'm assuming that sort of came from that little bit of AFL experience at Geelong. 16.4 kilometres in one game is not a bad effort, mate.
I may have done a bit of research there, Jacob.
Yeah, what's that, sorry?
I may have done the research there, mate.
Yeah, right. I've always been a good runner. I think it's something I've had probably since, sort of junior athletics and stuff back home in the country. Just used to run and play sport all day, every day at school and footy and whatnot. And, my old man was a pretty skinny young footballer himself, so I think I get that a little bit from him. And it's probably one of the main reasons why I actually got drafted back there in 2018 was because of my running ability. So it's always been sort of my strength, and I still probably don't get to use it quite as much as I'd like on a skinny Norwood oval, but and when I'm playing in the midfield, but it obviously it pays off at different times and can have a really big impact on the game. And I think when Adelaide Oval, especially on that bigger, more open ground, it actually paid off for me a little bit more you had throughout the year during final series. So,
Very good point.
Yeah, mate. Has there been any AFL interest?
No, I can safely say I haven't really talked to too many. I was on the Port Adelaide COVID top-up list this year, but nothing serious. So
If something did come around, do you think you're better prepared for the opportunity if it arises?
Yeah, definitely. I'd definitely attack it differently. I'd come in wanting to play round one instead of sort of waiting. That's probably a bit to do with where I was at when I got there to Geelong. I was a young, skinny 18-year-old who, probably definitely wasn't ready. My body wasn't ready, but I sort of took that as, I'm probably a fair way off playing AFL. And by the time I got around, my time was like by the time my body had built up and I was at the point where I probably could be playing AFL, it was probably too late. So, I just would, it would be awesome to have another opportunity, but obviously I'm also pretty happy playing here at Norwood. So, yeah.
Good to hear.
Yeah, I find it interesting still the leadership side of things that, you followed at Ross Trevor from, I will be honest, the best junior leader I've had anything to do with Luke Valenti. It's, anything with Luke, that side of it, and then, because it is quite interesting that two outstanding leaders in such quick succession.
Yeah. Luke was definitely someone that I looked up to. When I got to Ross Trevor, he was probably the first bloke that actually talked to me outside of the boarding house, and pretty much because he knew that I was at Norwood under-16s that year. And, he's had a huge influence on me leadership-wise. He was head prefect at Ross Trevor. I was sort of one of his I was a house captain prefect, so I was in below him, and he
Talking there.
Don't know.
Sorry, you just dropped out there for 2 seconds there, mate. Sorry about that.
That's right. I learned a lot from him. He was always captain of my footy side or captain of my school, like I said, and we're really good mates. He sort of took me under his wing when I first got there to Ross Trevor and Norwood, and I'd love to have him out playing for Norwood as well, but I'm still good mates with him and always will be. So.
Likewise.
He's a Richmond fella, and I'll definitely take a little bit of my leadership ability from him.
Your leadership was a huge part of this flag. You move on to Harrison Wigg, who was the key link man for the Roosters in the first quarter. Your footy sparks came to the fore with your superb block of Cameron Craig. Look, it's something I've spoken about, and look, I just want to praise you. Your relationship with your grandparents, with Gil and Jan Hollenby, the photo of you hugging them on the victory lap is my favourite photo of the Premiership. Look, just massive credit to you that you see what's important, that where you put your grandparents number one after a game upstairs in the club. Massive respect. Thank you, mate. You're a gun.
Thank you. Thanks, Pete. Thanks, Malcom.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for giving us your time tonight, mate, and we really look forward to seeing you in the red and the blue next year.
I can't wait. Norwood 2023, let's do it, eh?
Let's do it.
Bloody oath.
Real. Thank you.
Thank you, mate.
Welcome back to the Game On podcast.
Welcome to Sam Morris, another Norwood Premiership star from 2022. Welcome, Sam. Thank you very much for giving us your time tonight, and we're here to talk about the year that has been.
Welcome aboard, Sammy.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
Mate, let's just start from your junior career. Give us a bit of a rundown of where you've come from and what you've been doing.
Yeah, so Malcolm will be happy to hear this, but I played all my juniors with Panos Norwood Union.
Yes, that was a deliberate question, Sammy. Yes.
Yeah, I thought that might have been. So I started out there when I was about 4 or 5, and pretty much played there up until I was 16. And then obviously with Norwood getting a little bit more serious with the under-18s, I sort of stopped playing there. But that's always going to be my local club, and I'm pretty keen to return back there after I have a decent SANFL career, hopefully. So got a lot of love for the Panos Football Club.
And hopefully the Panem Cricket Club too, remember? Yes.
I wasn't the best cricketer ever, but...
We'll work on that.
There's always room for improvement.
Exactly.
No. Sammy came along and watched a few games last year with watching a couple of his mates with the 2020 side, and it was great that he came out to have a look.
Actually, I used to play for the Dukes, Malcom, but...
Yes.
I gave that up pretty quickly when footy took over.
We'll work on that, mate.
Yeah.
So, let's go. So, this year, the game against Adelaide, the balls were trickling towards the boundary line. You keep it in. Your role in that goal for the King, the King kicking the goal, with virtually the last 30 seconds. Do you reckon subconsciously you relaxed and almost felt, I belong at league level?
Yeah, I think that was probably like a massive confidence booster for me, because obviously it was a pretty big moment. And I actually started that game down forward. I got put on half-back when Charles got injured pretty early in the game. So, just knowing that I could sort of stand up in those big moments gave me a lot of faith in, my ability to play at the level. And that was, you're probably spot on by saying I sort of relaxed. And pretty much after that game, I sort of found a bit of a groove and started playing some pretty good footy. So, I think definitely there's a lot of moments like that throughout the year, but that particularly sort of helped me settle down and sort of find my spot in the team, and then, obviously become a little bit more comfortable at the level.
Do you think that, obviously settling in down back there, obviously Norwood was the best in the SANFL for scores against, which is, a mighty achievement from you guys? Yeah,
we had a really good year as the back six. We had probably about 10 blokes go through there, so we had a lot of variety, but obviously having blokes like Jack Hurd and Campbell and even Donners bring the ball to the ground, it makes it pretty easy for us smalls to defend the forwards, because they normally hit it pretty far away when they get their fist to it. But the way that we went about it was a credit to us boys, but also to our line coach Brian Zanker. He did a massive amount of work with us to get us into that position. But we've got blokes like Rokes as well, and Nunny and Jay Rantel, who are pretty keen to push back and help us as defenders. So
running both ways is important.
Yeah, exactly. They wouldn't be too happy if I didn't give them a mention. So
fair enough.
It's definitely helpful as a back six group when you got blokes like that running back to help.
Yeah, and Jack Hurd obviously marshalling the troops back there.
Yeah, Hurdy will say that, but I reckon Campbell might be the one.
Probably just Jack a bit more. Jack just a bit more vocal than Humphrey Ball. Yes,
that's it. Ball is a little bit of a silent assassin. He just gets the job done every week, but he's not the loudest bloke out there until you give him a few cans. That is, but Hurdy doesn't mind saying his thought process out in the field, which is good.
Hurdy superbly coached as a junior.
Taking any credit there?
You wouldn't have anything to do with that, would you, Malcom?
Not at all, Sam. He was certainly a member of the East Adelaide Premiership side, yes.
Yeah, so I've heard.
Mate,
I've got to mention once or twice.
Mate, the obviously the defence was pretty solid, and just sort of looking at the learnings, from Twig, getting to the correct spots, as part of the game plan. How long did it take to learn?
It probably was almost a whole year. I mean, we did have a good year in 2021, obviously finishing third, but I sort of felt like it didn't really click until probably this year, around round 7 or 8, I reckon, when we really started playing some good footy. And then we obviously went on for that patch, winning 8 in a row. But everything that we've done has been built up from that day one of pre-season. Twig's massive on, like getting over to outnumber and helping out your mates. So that's obviously a massive part of our defence. But yeah, it hasn't just happened overnight. We've put in heaps of work on the training track to get there, and all credit to Twig. He's been sticking at us for a long time now, so it's good to see it paying off.
And does that slightly alter, obviously for different grounds? I mean, Nord's obviously a slightly smaller ground, but you obviously play your finals at Adelaide Oval. Does that sort of alter things just slightly?
I don't think it changes too much, because we sort of back ourselves in with our fitness and our ability to win games off the back of how we play. But I think obviously at home we're very hard to play against because how we outnumber the ball and how we defend on a small ground. But after that first final against the Crows where we got a smacking, we sort of probably did change it a little bit. But I think our core game plan was always there. And yeah, obviously got us the chockies in the end, which was pretty nice.
I thought we just improved dramatically about where to be when the opposition had the ball. And probably, North Adelaide game was a key game in that regard, the Sturt game. But I just felt we became far better when the opposition had the ball than last year and earlier this year. So it's probably an extension of your thoughts there really as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think also the Port game at Albion, that was massive for us, knocking them off pretty easily. But that was a great win for us boys.
Absolutely.
Now, come on, Sam. The key moment. Like you're an angel arriving from heaven, Sammy. Sir Smother, go through. The guy's got round Hurdy. It looks like it's going to be the killer blow, and you came out of the grandstand. Go through it, mate.
Oh well, yeah. It all happens pretty quickly. Obviously, on game day, you just do it out of instinct. But it sort of goes on what we've been talking about our defence and outnumbering. Because you look on the video. I reckon Hurdy was probably done there, and being a fellow backman, I didn't want to leave him out to dry. So I sort of just left my man and tried to do the team thing and outnumber, which is what we've been doing all year. And luckily it paid off. And then we'll go down the other end, and the rest is history.
Have you watched Danny Jenkins' smother from 78 yet, mate?
I haven't seen it, no. I've been hearing lots about it, but you might have to link me to it,
Yes,
Malcolm.
I'm
pretty keen to see it.
We'll work on that.
Might have to tag him in a photo, I reckon.
Yeah, I reckon we can work on that.
Yep. That's it.
Look, Sam, you're a credit. You're a no frills. You're no bullshit. That's where you're hugely respected by the group, and there's actually a really great photo where Twig virtually says that to you after the game, and massive congratulations, huge thank you. But yeah, wrap to have you on the show, and let's go back to back.
100%. No worries, fellas. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Sam, and hopefully, yes, back to back, Malcolm.
We'll certainly be giving it a crack.
Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, fellas.
Welcome back to the Game On podcast.
And welcome to our next guest, Harry Boyd. What can you say? Michael Taylor medalist, Jack Oatey medalist, grand final win as well. Thanks, Harry, for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks, Pete. Thanks, Malcolm. Thanks for having me.
Mate, we're going to start right at the beginning. Where did your career start as a junior, and how did you get to the parade?
So, began playing footy in Shepparton. So I played from primary school, secondary school, and then kind of my first senior club was the Shepparton Bears there, and progressed through that, and was fortunate enough to make the Mode Bush Rangers squad. So that's the NAB league now.
Yep.
And after kind of going through that under-18s program, didn't get drafted, and went and played a couple of years at Werribee VFL. And after that, played a year full at Shepparton again, and year off in COVID, and then I found myself at the parade at the age of 23.
Did Rokes play a part in getting you to the parade?
Yeah, so me and Rokes played together in a 2018 Premiership at the Shepparton Bears, and had a really good relationship, good mates, and also just really enjoyed playing footy together. I thought we always understood each other well, and he kind of contacted me probably towards the back end of the COVID year, and just actually asked me to play footy up in Darwin, and due to injury I wasn't able to do it. I kind of injured myself trying to run a marathon of all things during the COVID year, and wasn't overly excited about moving up to Darwin. But we also got discussing Adelaide and how Norwood looked, and he passed my number on to Rossi, and a couple of weeks later Twig, Jade Rawlings, was appointed, and I was speaking to him over the phone, and it was January 4th, 2021. I kind of drove over, packed my life up into a car, and didn't really know what I was getting myself into too much, but was excited, and the rest is history.
He's done well.
And you started really at Norwood more at centre half forward, and then moving into the ruck. So yeah, go through that side of things.
Yeah, so look, I played kind of my junior football in all, but both ends of the ground, and I've been kind of the odd spurt in the ruck, and probably felt my best football was actually as a key defender as at the time that I moved over here, and quickly twigged, acknowledged that we're probably pretty solid back there. At the time we had Michael Talia and also obviously 2 Premiership players in Cam Ball and Jack Hurd, kind of holding down the key posts there, and he felt like my best chance to play senior footy was as a key forward, which it was definitely daunting. I played, as I said, a little bit of footy there, but never felt like it was my most comfortable position, and kind of did a few spurts in the ruck with Michael Knoll last year. So, it was definitely a challenging kind of position to learn and everything like that. But, obviously it progressed into this year, being our ruckman.
And obviously, you talk about moving into the ruck. I mean, who was, really responsible for helping you, get over that line, that hump, of going into the ruck and really dominating towards the end of the year?
Yeah, so I guess how it looked like, obviously towards the back end of last year, Michael Knoll was having issues with his PCL in his knee, and I was probably spent about 6 to 8 games as our full-time ruckman, and I felt like I was growing into the role. I was actually had a couple
Agreed,
of
completely,
which wasn't great, but felt like by the South Adelaide last final that I kind of took a lot of confidence out of that game going into the pre-season, and had a really good sit down with Twig, and kind of said, look, he admitted that, look, if an A-grade ruckman pops out of the AFL or something like that, and they definitely will inquire, but Twig kind of filled me with confidence that we're actually more than happy for you to be our number one ruckman. I know there was a lot of external chat about, I guess, we don't have a ruckman, but obviously supporters and external voices didn't really see me as a permanent ruckman. So I guess it was Twig that kind of filled me with that confidence that this is my role, and he had great belief that I could play it at a very high level.
Is there anything you can't do? I mean, you're calling yourself a backman, you're playing at centre forward, you moved into the ruck. I mean, is there anything you can't do, mate?
Look,
Mr. Versatility.
The best thing about me is I think I'm a competitor. I think I'm very competitive with anything I do in life, and I think that holds me in good stead on a football field, whatever position I'm in, and I think I'll always try my best. So it might not be graceful at times. It might look a bit unnatural and unusual, but I think that's something that I pride myself in. I'm always trying my best, and hopefully that's good enough, and it's been kind of fortunate this year that
you certainly won everyone over, that you were always giving 110%. I think too, it wasn't so much doubting you, it was, hey, we haven't got anyone else. That was the scary bit, that geez, if Harry happens to get injured or is then running on empty tickets by September, we're in trouble. And Luke Sermon arriving was a
godsend. Yeah,
it was just huge. And after that game at Alberton, where he played against us, and obviously ending up with you guys that night was just, it was just a dream come true in the end.
Yeah, look, it's a funny one with Sermo. So firstly, I was thinking about the other day that, look, if Sermo wasn't, if he never left in the first place, I was probably playing reserves last year and not playing in the senior side. So there's a lot of sliding doors moments that go on. But I've kind of known Sermo since I moved over here, because he retained a really good relationship with Nick Roker as well, and we obviously had interest of getting him back next year. But I guess how it worked out, and through a few, I guess, social outings where we were discussing with what he was doing, and kind of through the club, they decided, well, if we can facilitate this now, it's going to be good for us in the long run. He was superb. He had some really big moments throughout the final series where he changed the momentum of the game. I think big guys taking big marks can really change the momentum of the game, especially how defence is set up these days. And they really lock you in the forward half. A big contested mark can change the complexion of the game. And I look back to the second quarter against Glenelg. He took a big one in our back half and just from there, we kind of got that confidence and got the ball forward and kicked a goal and went on with it. So, he's been a fantastic acquisition. I think he's also got a lot of growth going into next year as well.
Yes, I admit when the news came through that he'd signed, we'd need to be in 7-second delay for my reactions. So, yes. Look, Harry, you know him for your determination, but it was ironic. So I think the first time I really spoke to you was after the North Adelaide game, and you're sort of looking at your phone. I'm thinking, okay, come on, mate. And then I realised you've then looked up and gone, right, these were Brooksby stats today. What can you tell me about him? And you're just planning on opposition players that you're bang straight away into it.
Yeah, look, it's something that just kind of is a nervous, like it kind of settles my nerves knowing everything I possibly can about my opposition. So it's something I do to prepare and understand what they're firstly going to do to me, what they're looking to do, and obviously how can I counteract it, and even to kind of know what their personality's like, what I'm expecting them to come out with is something that just makes me feel comfortable going to a game, especially when I haven't played on a player before. So, it's something that works for me. I could kind of drive other players crazy. It's just, I guess, my best preparation that I've found, especially in the ruck where it's quite clear who I'm playing against.
Yep.
I admit, as a self-confessed footy moron, I was rapt when you that you went heading in that direction, mate.
Yes, no, it's a funny one. The boys laugh at me sometimes.
And I'm sure about the, obviously opposition planning. You got a little bit of a touch-up from Kieran Strawn from Adelaide in that qualifying final, but you really turned it around 2 weeks later and came back and won that duel convincingly.
Yeah, look, he's a really challenging player. He's a good player. And, throughout stages of this year, he was definitely in the top 18 ruckman in the country. It was just unfortunately that Adelaide felt that Riley O'Brien was ahead of him at Adelaide, but we've had some really good encounters throughout the whole year, and I was disappointed in my game in the qualifying final, and kind of had to really review pretty quickly what myself and also the midfield group as a whole could do to counteract his strengths and also kind of bring mine to life. And I think our leadership group was kind of, as a whole, really disappointed with our qualifying final. I think we were spooked and kind of went into our shell a little bit at within the first quarter of the game. So to respond like we did 2 weeks later was really pleasing.
And a bit of irony, the tap from heaven to the king for the King's goal. Scoring from stoppages wasn't a strength, so a bit of irony there, mate.
Yeah, look, we do just set up to kind of really lock that ball in. Doesn't always mean to score, but at the same time, one thing we're still pushing for the whole year was to get more blocks in our 450. And a young player that has a very kind of experienced head on his shoulders is Jacob Kennerley.
Yes.
And he took it upon himself at a moment of genuine chaos in a grand final to know that Matt Panos is a pretty handy player around goal, and he put a block on, got on the move, and I think a little deflection off Malcom, and the rest will be folklore for a long, long time. A
lot of Norwood supporters will be certainly celebrating that one for a long time to come.
Yes, for sure. No, it's been great to be a part of that moment, and I think I'll definitely cherish it for the rest of my life.
Yeah, Harry, as we said, winner of the Michael Taylor medal, the Jack Odie medal for the Bog in the grand final. What a year. You truly get it. You came along on the Friday night to support the making of the grand final banner. Credit to Alex Milicevic, the leader of the group with all that. But that group really appreciated that. Your professionalism, your homework, you're a gun. Hope for your sake, hopefully there is AFL interest. For Norwood's sake, hopefully not.
No, I'll be here next year. But no, thank you very much. And we've got a lot of great people around our football club, and very fortunate. I've only been here for 2 years, but it's been a great honour to play for this football club, and looking forward to playing for years ahead. And thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
It's music to our ears, mate.
Thank you very much for your time, mate, and certainly, hopefully, we get to see some growth and development again next year, and turn you into one of the great players at Norwood.
No, thank you very much. No, looking forward to it. We're working hard already.
Thank you very much, Harry.
Cheers. Thank you.
welcome back to the Game On podcast.
And welcome, Matty Panos. What can you say? The king, the man of the moment. What else can you say? Matty, thank you for joining us tonight. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Yeah, what can we say?
Oh, no worries, guys. Thanks for having me on.
King.
Thanks, mate. Matty, we're going to go right back to where you started your juniors and how did you get to the parade?
Probably a bit different to most. I didn't really start playing footy till I was maybe in like year 8 or 9. I think I had one. Yeah, I played soccer and tennis sort of growing up. They were the two sports, tennis in summer and soccer in winter, and always kicked the footy. I went to St. Joseph's Heaterville, so I always kicked the footy with the guys and girls there, and had a park next to my house. So I'd kick the footy with Dad as well as soccer, and it had tennis courts as well. So I was obsessed with sport from a young age. So I was at the park pretty much every day, straight after school, and Mum and Dad would have to come and get me for dinner. And then with daylight savings, I'd probably go after dinner as well. So yeah, I don't think I really started playing until properly until sort of like year 9 at Ross Trevor, and then a few of my mates were playing at Norwood. Like Tom Jonas was the same age, Paul Fantasia, who's with Dad's James at Norwood now. They were at Ross Trevor and at Norwood as well. So I think it was maybe under 15s. They told me to come out and played in like a lightning carnival where you play sort of 3 games and do a little bit of training, and then probably started to develop into a better footballer than I was at soccer. So there was a few years, sort of, year 9, 10, maybe even year 11, I was playing both. I played soccer on the Sunday, so I didn't really have a club. I played a few games for Paynham because those boys and a few others played for Paynham, which was a pretty successful team. I think Gav Roberts, Jesse O'Brien, Lewis Johnson were in that team as well as...
That's a fair side.
Yeah, Kieran Holland was at Rossi as well. So I just sort of floated in and played with them whenever I wanted, which was good fun. So yeah, Paynham were really accepting, although I didn't really play heaps of games there throughout the years because I was still playing soccer on the Sunday. And then, from there it sort of went into under 15s and 17s and 19s as it was back then, and then sort of changed as I was getting into under 18s, but just basically played at Ross Trevor and Norwood, and that was pretty much it.
Fantastic. And mate, just moving ahead obviously to this year, coming back from injury in round 8, you play 9 games for 8 wins. I mean, that's a pretty good strike rate.
Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't really know how this year would go, to be honest, because when you're sort of watching for a year or a year and a half, and you see what everyone else is doing, and when you're running laps, and I'm watching training as I'm running laps, I'm almost thinking like, how can I get back to this level? And it feels like they're going. When you watch, sometimes you think it's a lot harder than when you're actually out there and in the moment. Watching training. Running laps, 3 times a week, thinking, shit, how the hell am I supposed to get back to this level? And guys are, throwing themselves at each other, and training's pretty physical with twig and hard, and a lot of contested work and tackling and sort of fast drills. I was probably lacking a little bit of confidence, but once I started training and getting back into it, before my first game, I knew that I was ready to go. I'd done probably 4 or 5 weeks of full training. And then in that Crows game, I just wanted to get through the game. I didn't really care about playing well. I thought, if I kick a goal, that would be awesome. If we get a win, that would be amazing. We're playing the top team who are red hot. I didn't expect much. And, the coaching group just said just to sort of play and, not think about it too much and just not try and get through the game. But no pressure to think that, I need to perform and try and be at my best, because I don't really know what that is anymore after such a long time, and was probably more of a midfielder where, this year probably played more forward than I did mid. So, roles change, people around me. I haven't played with many of the players. So, there was a bit of freedom and I guess not too much pressure from the coaching staff and other players to expect me to, perform at a high level.
So Twiggy gave you a little bit of license to move about wherever you liked?
A little bit. He wanted me probably to stay more forward, but said had freedom to, go into centre bounces, and if I wanted to play a little bit in the midfield, and we rotate as a forward line a fair bit, so I can play deep or a bit higher. Occasionally come into stoppage, and it's a bit more about a system rather than I'm not just going to, or someone isn't just going to play deep the whole time out of the goal square, and other people aren't going to play up high the whole time, and we sort of move around a bit. So it gave me freedom, and it takes a bit to get used to which players to swap with and who likes what positions and that sort of stuff. But he certainly gave me the license to control what how I wanted to go. If I was really tired, then sit deep, or if I felt good and we had a bit of momentum, maybe keep pushing and get up around the midfield.
And then the last 5 minutes was pretty surreal. Of that game against.
I was, it was crazy because we had lost a few close games over that sort of 18 months, and thought, we'd had a good crack, but I knew if we got a goal that, momentum in the home crowd, and even though there was probably only a couple of thousand, it felt like a lot of people, and then Connor kicked a couple good goals to get us right in it, and then, I guess getting the ball outside 50 and the guy on the mark starts running back to sort of cover the goal.
It was bizarre.
Works out well.
It was like you had COVID, mate. You told them all you had COVID, and they were all running away.
All running away. So, just sort of seized a moment of, could see that they weren't looking and folding back, and to get it on quick. And then, it was almost, like a fairy tale. Probably, at the time, probably the best goal I've ever kicked. Now it's probably the second best goal I've ever kicked. But it was, like the crowd and just everything that I've been through. And those 630 days or whatever they said it was absolutely incredible.
And it was pretty good being with you that night. There was just quiet satisfaction from you that night. The grin was pretty wide, as it should have been. Matty, let's go back over to the Western Bulldogs days, where they had a really weird system. Go through it, explain to hopefully our listeners about what happened, where you had to play.
Yeah, so I got drafted at the end of 2009. So, the start of the 2010 season, we had, the Western Bulldogs were affiliated with Williamstown, so it's a bit different now. Most of the teams are standalone, so I think Richmond are now, and the Bulldogs have Footscray. I think maybe Carlton as well, but most of the teams had affiliates with like a local club. So it would be like the Crows being assigned to just Norwood, and but it's a bit different when
more and more. It's most of them are standalone now.
Now, so and then part of that rule with, I think, the VFL and the club, so Williamstown and the Bulldogs, was that they could only play 12 AFL players in the senior team. So going over as a rookie, and normally all the young first-year players, if they had 18 people available, some weeks 6 guys had to play in the reserve. So the equivalent to the VFL reserves. So you're on an AFL list hoping to play AFL, but you're not even playing VFL. You're playing VFL reserves, and that first year we had a pretty good run of injuries at the Bulldogs. I think they made the prelim and went deep into finals. So I think I'll probably play 10 or 12 games in the twos, as did a lot of other. Christian Howard was a first round draft pick. He was playing in the reserves. Luke Dowhouse the next year was doing the same thing, and these guys went on to play AFL. But Liam Jones was the same. So it was, pretty broken system. And as a rookie, if you had, you basically had to wait till someone was out for the whole year to get elevated, but there's 5 of you trying to get elevated for that one spot. And if you'd been playing in the reserves, then it's, you need to try and build form in the seniors before then, even thinking about playing AFL. But, the experience was really good over the 3 years. In that first year, the forward line that I was competing with was like Barry Hall, Brad Johnson, Jason Ackermanis, Bob Murphy, Sean Higgins, Mitch Hahn, Daniel Jones, Syracuse. So there's some pretty
strong
cool
side.
names.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very strong stuff. But even just to be around them, day to day and learn from them, stuff that, they talked to me about and taught me, 10, 12, 12 years ago, I still, try and use in my game at the moment, which is although I guess it didn't go my way in those 3 years, I've still learned a fair bit that have made me into a good player today.
Important on the development.
Absolutely. And obviously coming back to Adelaide and winning the 2014 Jack Oatey medal, what does that mean to you?
It means a lot and meant a lot at the time as well, because I came back in 2013 and got injured just before finals and then missed out on the flag. So, 2012 I was in Melbourne wishing that I was back playing at Norwood, and they win the flag, and then being back and then being injured and missing out. Even though I was only 21 or, it would have been 22, it's, still hurts even though I was pretty young. And then it was almost like a bit of redemption for me to try and win one. And, the whole build-up playing against Port, first one at Adelaide Oval, 40,000, they had 19 listed players. Being able to win by under a goal as well, and then to win the Jack Oateys, absolutely amazing. It's something I'll cherish forever. But even before, it was just all about winning, and it was a pretty special group and still good mates with all the guys really.
Yep. Compare the two flags you've played in, Noz.
It's two 10 out of 10s. I don't know if you can. I'd probably, it's super hard because you've got that with the...
No, I didn't mean in terms of comparing them ability-wise, but just the reactions, almost Ball being the senior figure this year, 14. It was probably a bit of redemption in both almost, because this was, missing 2 years, but knowing that it's been 8 years, 31, nearly 32, and what I've been through, it probably meant a bit more deep down, and what I've been able to bring to the group, particularly since round 8. The group is so young, so just feeling like that older sort of dad of the group. It's really special, and just, speaking to the guys after the game, and I guess how they sort of look up to me as well makes it, even more special that we're able to do it when I guess no one probably thought that we'll be able to get there. Your parents on grand final night, Paul and Mickey, I may have been leading a fair few of the Norwood faithful in congratulating the two of them for creating you, creating the king on grand final night. Look, I obviously knew your dad, but I hadn't met your mum, and I was a bit worried how she'd take me. I think she thought, this guy's a bloody idiot, but at least she was laughing about it as well. So, it was good fun. Oh, no,
they're good. They love getting around the people. Dad will talk to anyone, so he's probably spoken to every person that's a Norwood member. They probably all know who he is. But, they've supported me from the start, and it was pretty hard when I was on crutches for 6 to 8 weeks, and they're driving me to work and picking me up every day, even last year. So I think good reward for them.
It was fantastic.
They enjoyed the night as well.
Oh, look, I think it would have been a very interesting competition for the biggest grin in terms of from your mum and Sonia Carroll from the parent side of things.
Oh, Sonia was in very good form.
Yes.
I think she would probably be number one.
And mate, just to finish us off, I'm sure you've probably heard it a million times, or you might have seen the footage, but we do have a little bit of audio here, and I'm sure the Norwood faithful wouldn't mind listening to it one more time.
They've worked their way through a qualifying final loss into a first semi-win, into a prelim. Now they've got a chance. Panos, if anyone can stand up, it's Matthew. Oh my God, Mr. Magic has done it. No one in front.
Mate, still gives me goosebumps now.
Oh yeah, it's still. I still can't believe it, to be honest. But I think so does commentaries. Unbelievable. So it still gives me goosebumps as well, as I'm sure it does to a lot of people.
Oh, so does Nailed It. And look, I'm still the same, Noz, that, just still walking around smiling, just thinking still about it seems a bit ridiculous, but it's just still huge as far as I'm concerned. I think personally too, as a Norwood supporter, been around a while, I think this is the first ever flag we won where we were the massive underdogs. Probably not the best side in ability, but just kept having a crack. And, the inner belief probably born from that game against Adelaide where we just kept going. And, to come from behind in both the prelim final, where the rain came just in time, and the grand final, it's still just huge.
Yeah, I think, I'm still pinching myself about it as well, and probably hasn't fully sunk in and might not for a few more weeks. But I completely agree. It's almost sort of the story of our year when, we didn't start very well, lost a few games, a couple close ones at the start of the year. And yeah, probably from the Crows game, and then we lost to North, but then beat Port, I think, after that, and sort of started the run. And almost every game was like we were underdogs and needed to win to stay in touch with finals. And it was, to consolidate top 5, and then we needed to keep winning to try and get top 3. And then the same thing in the finals. Glenelg were down at quarter time. Crows were down for most of the game. And then, grand final, what happened in the last sort of 5 minutes sort of typified our year and probably second half of the year, and how much belief and growth and improvement we've had, because we're probably not the most talented team, don't have the big names and AFL names like other clubs do, but we believe in the system and believe in what Twig's telling us and our way of playing, and it really stood up in September, which was awesome.
Look, Noz, I'm still absolutely dumbfounded that you weren't picked up again after 2014.
Yeah, agreed.
I will quote a pretty well-respected AFL figure. Malcom, every AFL recruiter should be shot. Panos isn't just a number on the end of a list, he's elite. And personally, that absolutely nails it.
I think most of Norwood supporters would agree too.
Greatly appreciated, Noz.
No worries. Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
No.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Noz.
Cheers. Thank you.
Liking this podcast? Please like, rate, and subscribe. Welcome back to the Game On podcast. Flashbacks.
Welcome back. We've got a slightly new subject here for us, Malcolm. We haven't done this one before, but we thought it was appropriate, being that it is our Norwood Grand Final episode, talking about our favourite Grand Finals of years past.
Yeah, look, and every flag's special in its own way. I'm gonna go a little bit different here in terms of 75. Our first in 25 years as a 12-year-old was unique, but I'm going with 14 in terms of beating the arch enemy, 19 AFL listed players, all the advantages they've got. I thought that was huge. It was a really great standard game as well.
Yep.
And, ebbed and flowed. We get away at the start. They get in front the second quarter. Then it was an arm wrestle after that. I love that. And look, also for me this year, I'm still walking around. What is it? Whatever the date is, 12th of October. Still grin from ear to ear from this flag. I think it was so unexpected in terms of where we're at, not being the best side and all that, with some realism, but just the G&D, guts, determination, stuck at it. The come from the clouds, the prelim. How in the hell can you, in a low-scoring game, you're down 8 goals to 5 at the 18-minute mark of the last quarter and win is bloody ridiculous.
It is.
It's to come from there. The king with a left foot snap. Then I'd find out from there immediately. A couple of messages, 42 seconds to go, and knowing. And it was huge. It's
one of those ones that'll stick around for quite a long time.
It was pretty incredible 1-point victories. It's we're the dominating factor.
Absolutely.
78.
I mean, for me, look, personally, 1984, huge year. I'm not
going to argue with you on
that.
No,
I don't think there'd be too many that would argue there. I mean, to play Port Adelaide, obviously, in the peak of their powers in that mix, and we were around the mark there in 78, 82 and 84, but 84 just has that history makers draw that keeps bringing me back to watching footage, and a bit like this year's, and I can't split this year's either, because there's so many moments in there, like 84, that will become folklore for Norwood supporters for years and years to come.
84, the first semi against Centrals was actually similar to this year's grand final. We were really struggling in that last quarter, and then ran all over Centrals in the last 5 to 10 minutes. The prelim final in 84, you think Glenelg kicked for goal like drunken sailors. They were 2 goals 14 at one stage.
Yeah.
Huge as well.
It's huge. I mean, you think about some of those moments from 84. I mean, Aish running down the wing.
KT's mark.
I mean, and then the delivery to Aish, 30 metres out was just superb. Evans and Palm in the goal square sort of changed the way that we line up now for national anthems. It sort of had a bit of everything, really.
It was, and I still date back to the whole bit there. And of course, Craig Barnes at Norwood, he's Neil's brother, Is he going to be, like Neil did have white line fever, but calculated white line fever, and the game was different back then too.
Yes.
I'm very big on defending Neil Barm on that way.
Yeah.
But when the cameras scanned to the bench, when all the rest of us thinking, what the hell is going to happen? And there's Neil just pissing himself laughing.
Yes.
Yeah. And Craig, the idea of that actually came from the late Ian Stasnowski and Greg Nicholson were the two who picked that Tim Evans will not take that very well.
Yep.
And
it did put him off for a little while, and he gave away that free kick 5 or 10 minutes in that sort of would have got them back in the first quarter anyway.
Craig just did that superbly.
Yeah, he did. Absolutely. And 50,271 fans at Footy Park. I mean, that's huge.
Oh, the atmosphere was sensational, and we were in the outer then, and mates and the bounce by Aishi, and ironic, we spoke about it before the show. That
we did.
Actually got a message from Ian Denham thanking me about my book, and he said, that he was the boundary umpire chasing Aishi as he took those 5 bounces.
Couldn't keep
along, and we were all waving Aishi along, and it was huge.
And Neville Roberts kicking 6.
Yeah, speaking about Neville, with Neville a fair bit at that since then, he couldn't believe that he didn't get Martin Leslie as an opponent, and he got the late Anthony Williams, and he was pretty confident in terms of his ability, and so he should have been. Neville's one of the all-time greats, but he was very confident that he'd be too good for Anthony Williams, and he was.
Yep, and obviously a young Gary McIntosh, David Payne. I mean, these are legends of the club and should be recognised for that, which they already are. But you date back to 1984 and you see the game that they play in and the role that they've played in the club since.
Oh, look, and Justin Scanlon's couple of marks in those last few minutes. Glenn Vardaniger's part coming to the side, a little bit like Mitch Carroll actually.
Yep. In
that regard, Rowan Hellier gets injured. Andrew Jarvis stands up. Peter Laughlin's part. We can go on and on.
Yeah, we could, exactly.
So we should be.
And so, correct. And obviously for me also, 2014, I'm into three-peat, sort of coming back after a couple of losses early in the season. Benny Warren under a little bit of pressure, but seemed to get it together towards the end and really came home with a wet sail.
Yeah, look, 2012, I've got to be honest, it's the most relaxed I've ever been in a grand final.
Yep.
Turned up. Ironically, had been with Michael Barker, Norwood Junior, the day before, and was an assistant coach at West Adelaide then. And I said if I was West Adelaide, I'd go completely different here and go a 7-man forward line. And he went, Robert, couldn't agree with you more, but Collins won't. And Bass was just too good. We were too good to play that similar game, and it was ridiculous by West Adelaide not to try something.
Yep. And then obviously this year, what can you say? I mean, those moments that we've already talked about, they are going to become folklore. They are going to be replayed over and over again. If we can keep a couple of these guys together for a few years, it's exciting. It's really exciting.
And it was redemption for 18. I admit 18's still the one which eats at me.
Yep.
As a supporter, look, as a player, a coach, I've coached 35 games in my life, 32 wins, 3 losses, including 2 grand finals.
Yep.
So I'm pretty unlucky I didn't get the Glenelg job, really. So that will always eat at me as a player.
Yes.
But purely for any team I barrack for,
yes,
18 for me is the one which still gets me.
I walked away from 18 as well. Probably the most gutted out of any of the grand finals that I have been to. Where we probably should have got over the line, and we didn't play very smart that day, unfortunately. But that North Adelaide were a little too good on the day, and that does
they
happen.
had a run of the bounce as well. Some goals, like the first bounce of the game. We're still waiting for Ruddy Harris to recall the bounce. The ball the way it went. Matty Fuller and Wilco colliding. Yep. So there's things there.
Yeah, and fantastic to reminisce on this particular episode about some of our feedback about these grand finals. But we'd love to hear from you on our Facebook site. We do have a Facebook site, Sportscast SA. We'd love to hear from any Norwood supporters or any North supporters, if in fact, about any of the grand final that might be their best ones as well. And we might mention them a little bit later on, Malcolm.
I'm pretty confident North supporters probably won't enjoy this episode that much.
Probably not to this point anyway, but that's okay. So, thank you very much, Malcolm, for today. We thank our special guests, Jacob Kennerley, Sam Morris, Harry Boyd, and the King, Matty Panos. And it's been an absolute pleasure to reminisce and go down memory lane, not only for the last couple of weeks, but dating back a few years as well.
I look and greatly appreciated the guests and the depth they went into things. Look,
absolutely.
Harry going right back to his junior set up and Shepparton, and Matty going through the whole Western Bulldogs. Jacob is influences at Geelong. Sammy with the junior career at Panem. Every one of them was fantastic.
Exactly what we wanted from our grand final episode, and hopefully we can get a few people to share it as well. That'd be great.
Go the Legs.
Go Norwood.
It's a grand old flag, it's a high-flying flag, it's the emblem for me and for you. It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of the red and the blue. Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, as we sing the song to you. What do we say? Should old acquaintance be forgot? Keep your eye on the red and the blue. Oh, the team played fine in the year 29. The Redlegs had no one could let. From the crowd's first yell to the final bell, the spirit of all 46. Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, as we sing the song to you. What do we say? Should old acquaintance be forgot? Keep your eye on the red and the blue. In this crazy world we live in, we all need the distraction. Enjoying the show? Like, rate, and subscribe. Hook up and connect with us on social media at Sportscast SA. We'll see you next time on Game On.